Okay.
I'll be right here.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, y'all ready?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hey, what's up, y'all? You are listening to your Mental Matters podcast. For those of you guys tuning in, thank you for watching. I'm your girl, Mo, here today with two very special guests, Simone and Ari. I call her Ari, but Ariana. And and if you I want you guys to, of course, introduce yourself to the people. And just let them know who you are, what you do. And yeah, but before getting into that, thank you guys so much for being here.
Of course, thanks for having us.
Of
Yes,
course,
thanks for having us.
yes. So yeah, whoever wants to start first, you can introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And what inspires you? What keeps you going in this life?
I can start.
Mhm.
Hi, everyone. I'm Simone. I am the founder of Bonnets and Do-Rags. It is a podcast, event experience, and apparel line. I also am a full-time marketer and content creator, and I'm so excited to be here. And what inspires me? Honestly, my community. My community inspires me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason why I continue to get up and keep going, because as much as I pour into them, they pour back into me. So,
Yes, love that.
reciprocal.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Ariana. I am an ABA therapist and I'm also creative. I am a carpet creator. I like to work with textile. And I am, I'm a carpet rug tufter.
Love that.
So yeah.
I don't think I
And
knew that.
It's just getting started.
Mhm.
I will be,
Mhm.
So it's just getting started, but I'm really excited to embark on this new journey. As a creator. And your question was what inspires
Yeah,
me?
what inspires you? What keeps you going?
Honestly, I really liked your answer. I feel like just seeing Black excellence inspires me, specifically Black women. I think we are killing the game. I think we are excellent at everything we do.
Mhm.
We are in every room. We touch every corner, and that inspires me.
Yes,
Amen
absolutely.
for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you guys for that. And and similarly, y'all been listening. For those of you who have been, following and just been listening to the podcast, of course, mental health, that's my passion. I am in grad school. I'm almost done in May. I'll be done.
Yes. In the home stretch.
Yes. And just being able to see my people, Black and brown people, flourish and be their best selves by, of course, growing and flourishing in their mental health, because of course we know for centuries, years, that's been something stigmatized. There's been a whole lot of just stigma around it. As we saw recently, there's just been a lot of suicides lately, and it's been very just it just makes me want to act and do more to ensure that we're good as a community, because for the longest time, we just haven't been. We still aren't. There's some people who are flourishing in our communities and people trying to do the work, but I feel there's so much more to do. So that's what keeps me going, just dreaming and having more vision just in the mental health space, and just trying to figure out what I can do, how I can play my part. So
I love that. Well, thank you for the work that you do.
Thank
honestly.
you.
Yes, it's
Yes.
so necessary.
Yeah. I feel like mental health workers are frontline workers
Mhm.
because we need you all just as much to sustain our mental. So
Mhm.
I appreciate that.
Thank
Yes,
you.
definitely part of the healthcare.
Yes. And you too, Ari. Ari is behavioral therapist. She's in the field too, for sure. So yeah. And we'll get into that more in depth too. But yeah, before we get into just our topic for today, I just want to do a mental health check-in for us. So how is your mental health, you guys? How are you feeling this past week? And coming into this week, how are you feeling mentally?
I started the week strong, I would say. I feel a lot better than how I was feeling last week. Last week was a little overwhelming. A lot's going on at work. Unfortunately, I had a really tough situation at work that I had to deal with. It was the first day of Black History Month, which I was excited about. But transparently, I just had so much going on with work and then my creative stuff that that night I broke down. I just broke down from being overwhelmed and just feeling like I can't do this. And I called my homeboy Skip, and I just, he just basically let me have space to cry it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was telling him how like how much I was saying like to you earlier about like we can't be super women all the time. And that's how I've been feeling.
Yeah.
Like I've been waking up and having to carry the weight of the world on my back, and I am tired. My legs hurt. I want to sit down.
Yeah.
But this week I started the week feeling well rested and feeling surrounded by love, and it allowed me to carry into my work day today. So I'm good this week.
Good. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I'm glad
thank
you're
you.
feeling better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I feel like this week, what is it? It's only Monday, right?
Yeah.
It is the beginning of the week, but it is giving me, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a place where I feel like last week was eventful,
Mhm.
and we'll talk about it. Like, it was just in time for this podcast because it has everything to do with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But with that, it was extremely overwhelming. I would say this week I did start out pretty calm because the day before, yesterday, I did get to be creative.
Yeah.
So like with me creating these carpets, it's therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
And that kind of eases the stress and starts my week off great. So while it's a little bumpy for beginning of the week, it's not too bad.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the transparency already. I already know there's
Oh
gonna be
girl,
a
one thing about me,
good...
I'm gonna be transparent.
Yes. I love it. I already know this episode's gonna be, we just started, but I already know it's gonna be a great one.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate you guys for sharing. And yeah, I guess for me too, yeah, my week is starting off good. I feel like, for one, just being able to pod and like do, like you mentioned, being creative. Like, this is the creative space, but like what we're talking about is also like very meaningful for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to do that always makes me feel good. But I also was on vacation this past weekend, so that helped. And like I was sharing with you guys before we started, prior to me going on this vacation, I was overwhelmed, feeling like there was no real work-life balance, just work. And then trying to like, have some downtime like when I can, but wasn't really successful in that area. And so I was like, you know what, maybe I just need to get away. Maybe I need to go. Like, literally, I was like, I think if I go away, I can't do anything. I'm not bringing my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I was able to get what I needed from that vacation. So
Good.
yeah,
That's
so I'm
really
feeling good today. And like this week is starting off good. So yeah, I hope it will continue. It will continue.
It will.
It will, right?
It will continue.
Yep. Okay. So, all right. So, okay. The topic for today that we're talking about is just women's health and wellness overall, mental health, physical health, and just the both like go hand in hand. Like, if your mental health is struggling, it can affect how you're doing physically. If you're physically, you're not doing well, or, in a place where you are struggling, then that can also affect, your mental. So I did kind of want to open up the conversation to talk about this, because I feel like this isn't something that, in previous episodes have been talked about. And so I was like, this is something important, because I know so many women who overall with their, reproductive health, overall physical health, just have different things going on, whether it's chronic illness, whether it's just things that like they don't want to talk about as women. Like, it just, things that, especially Black women, because like, I feel like the things that we experience, for some reason, we feel like we experience it alone, when it's actually really more common in our community. And then also like, not to like single anybody out, like other communities, we don't hear about, I guess, them experiencing the same physical issues and stuff like that. So I think I wanted to open up this conversation to talk about just women's health. Me and Ari, we've had, conversations about like different things. Or recently, Ari, I know you came out on social media and we're talking about your experience. So I wanted to kind of start with you, and you just,
Of course.
Yeah. And then.
Of course.
Yes.
So I have always had chronic menstrual cramps since I was 13 years old. My mom had it and I had it. So I thought it was just normal until I met girls that didn't have cramps. I was just like, why me? Like, why do I have to be the one doubled over in my bed, crying, throwing up, like, why.
Yeah.
But I thought it was normal. So, I mean, going into college, then I had my gyno appointments. My gynecologist at that time was a white female. While she was very, very sweet, she was very dismissive. So I would express the chronic pain, and she would put me on 1,000 milligrams of Tylenol to take, not per day, every 5 hours. So that means I was on about maybe 4,000 milligrams of Tylenol a day just to take the cramps away. And like that will destroy your liver by the time you're like 40.
Right.
So once I realized that, I was like, okay, this can't be.
Yeah.
So I went back to her and she was like, okay, well, we can put you on birth control. I'm like, okay, it just sounded like a bunch of Band-Aids on top of Band-Aids. So unfortunately, it took me this long, but I'm 31 now. And I decided to find my own, find a second opinion, and with a Black doctor. My first doctor was a woman of color. The first doctor that I sought out on my own, a woman of color, an older Indian doctor. And she was very helpful. I told her all of my symptoms, and she gave me a sonogram right away. Found a large cyst on my ovary and was like, we're going to schedule you for an MRI and we're going to figure out, like what else is going on. So thank God it wasn't, it was benign.
Yeah.
But it was 7 centimeters.
Wow.
This was in September. So then I go back to her to do a follow-up, and she's like, I think you might have endometriosis. Now I just want to read off what endometriosis is by Endo Black. Shout outs to them. They are a Black organization of women who suffer from endometriosis.
Yeah.
I'm not an ambassador or anything, but with them, but I do follow them on social media, and they create a community that is just so comforting. Yeah. Where you really won't feel alone. But endometriosis, sometimes called endo, is a common health disease that affects 11% of American people between the ages of 15 and 44. There are about 60 to 70% of women with endometriosis who are fertile. But unfortunately, it's tough to get diagnosed with endometriosis. That's also a really difficult part. So most people will find out once they get a cyst. Yeah. Because otherwise, endometrial tissue is actually scarring in your uterus. So that's not something they can see from a sonogram alone. It usually takes seeing a cyst or usually seeing a cyst that will kind of give them that idea. And then also the symptoms of this, chronic cramps, or pain during any sexual activity. Usually people might have concerns with trying to be fertile. Yeah. That might come up. It's not always the case. Like they said, it's 60 to 70% of women are fertile. Yeah. But in the rare cases that some aren't, then they end up finding out it might be endometriosis. So yeah, that's what I've been going through. I mean, like I was saying, even up until last week, I had my last follow-up appointment. And this first appointment, when I first discovered it, was in September. It was one cyst. I started going to acupuncture to try and minimize it. But then I had a follow-up appointment last week, and they actually found another cyst. So now I have a 7 centimeter cyst on one ovary, a 4 centimeter cyst on the other ovary. And now I'm just scheduling to get it removed. Right. I'm just going to have the surgery. It'll be minimally invasive, but
it's better to remove it now.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, one, I'm so proud of you for even taking the step to figure out what was really wrong and being like, you know what? No, I need a second opinion, because that's what happens to us in the healthcare system. Yep. We just kind of get pushed away, and we're just like, okay, well, the doctor said no. Right. You know your body. You know something is not right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No. I honestly, you've inspired me to get a second opinion as well. I have a great gynecologist right now too. But I also experienced terrible cramping, and I've experienced that since I was 9. And so like I'm going on 20 years of like painful cycles where it just kind of takes me out like for the however long my cycle is. And it just makes me think like, wow, maybe I also should go and get a sonogram to see, because I know that when I went to my last gyno appointment, she like felt around in there and was just like, oh, you know, I think this might be the start of a fibroid, but I'm not sure, but maybe, you know, we should like get it checked out. And I just kind of was like, okay, yeah, I will. But I just kind of dashed it away. But no, I need to follow up. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
That's scary. Wow.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing, Ari. You know, we talked already and I was like, girl, you know, that's why I wanted you to come on, because I feel like there's so many women who, at least I've found recently, like my mom, like you just mentioned fibroids, my mom has fibroids. And, you know, once she started talking about her fibroid situation with like her friends, and she knows I'm sharing this, so I'm not just putting her business out there. I told her what we was doing today. I told her. So once she was going through what she was going through, she started talking about it with her friends, and they were like, oh yeah, I've had fibroids for, you know, like it's just, but it's a thing that for some reason, it's almost like not a secret, but
like we don't talk about it as community.
Yeah.
Like what you were saying earlier about how like it almost feels like Black women are going through things alone. I feel like as a community and just generationally, we've been like trained and conditioned to like just be quiet about our issues, because it's like we have other things to worry about. Like I'm not going to talk about what pain I'm in.
Yes.
I mean, Black people just do that in general,
Right?
But especially Black women. And so like that just made me think like, yeah, like we never know what someone else is going through. Like the fact that you just shared that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I think I might be going through the same thing too.
Yeah.
But never would that be something that I would think like to bring up in regular conversation. You
Right.
know?
Right.
So wow.
Absolutely. And yeah, Simone, I don't know if you have anything that you want to add. I was gonna I guess share, because when Ari had came out on Instagram and was talking about her situation, like I instantly DM'd her and was like, girl, thank you for sharing. And I was, you know, expressing to her about just my situation, which is, it's not endometriosis, but I feel like it's kind of similar or in the same vein, which is PCOS, which is something that I started hearing about more and more. And then I was like, and then mine was like a recent, like this was this past year. I went to the gyno, and then was told like, yeah, have you ever been told that you have PCOS? And I was like, PCO what? I have what? And literally I had such an emotional reaction, because like I was like, I don't know, instantly I just got into like, it was like terror. Like I was like, oh my God, like all of the worst case scenarios, I just instantly jumped to like, oh my gosh, I can't have kids. Even though like I've always been like, I don't want kids, you know, like I've been, but now it's like, oh, now I can't have
it's
kids.
like the freedom of it, right?
So now I'm just like, but that's not true. That's one. That's not true. Because once like, you know, I was told like, yeah, like basically if you meet like, you don't even have to meet all of the criteria for it. If you have about like 2 or 3 of the symptoms, then you have it. Like you don't even, like at least with PCOS, I'll read like, you know, the facts or just more concrete information from WebMD, Mayo Clinic, which I hope this should be pretty
Mayo Clinic's pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate, right? So, so PCOS stands for Polycystic Ovary Syndrome. Polycystic ovary syndrome is a hormonal disorder common among women of reproductive age. Women with PCOS may have infrequent or prolonged menstrual periods, or excess male hormone androgen levels. The ovaries may develop numerous small collections of fluid, follicles, and fail to regularly release eggs. And that's the other thing with PCOS too, like according to this, and that's also what, when I was like asking questions to like my gyno, like, okay, well, how do you get it? Like, there's not really a known, like they don't really know. Like, I feel like there's still so much like research that has to be done. And it says the exact cause of PCOS is unknown, but early diagnosis and treatment along with weight loss may reduce the risk of long-term complications such as type 2 diabetes and heart disease. So, for me, it was like scary, and I was like emotional, and like I was having all of these, and there's a the lady who not the lady who she's a celebrity, right? She's like I would say she's more like an Instagram, like she would be kind of like a D-list celebrity in that realm where she's married to a former NFL player, and she had came out. They have a YouTube channel. She came out and was talking about her experience with PCOS, with finding out that she had PCOS. And I watched her entire YouTube like channel of it, her series, and like literally I just broke down crying because like all of the things that she was experiencing in her body, even in her like interactions with people, because your hormones are like all over the place. So like just being like mean and like not being like, and I was like, oh my God, like, because forever I was like, yo, something's wrong with me. Like, I don't even know. Like before I used to feel like I was so like easygoing. And then all of a sudden I was just like
you feel like you're super moody.
Literally everything was ticking me off. Like, and she was explaining that once she was able to get like the hormones under control from like whatever her doctor, there was different medications that she got prescribed to like, you know, manage like insulin, because it also can affect your insulin levels. That's why diabetes was mentioned, which runs in my family, heart issues. So it's kind of a thing where I was like, okay, like there's answers, like there's ways to like, you know, regulate it and monitor it. So I think like once I did more research, I felt okay. But I think initially like it was scary because I'm like, I'm young, like I shouldn't be like, what? So like, but yeah, I think like knowing that there were people out there sharing this helped me to see like, okay, there needs to be more conversations like this because I know what to do. Like even the doctors, it was kind of like, all right, well, their response is usually like lose weight, and
that's what they always say.
Yes.
Like, as soon as you drop 25 pounds, everything will be fine.
I'm just
like, I hear you, but no.
Right. And it's like, maybe you might be right a little bit, but I can't lose weight.
What's the other option?
Right. So it was a thing where, once, it's either lose weight, birth control was another option, and like, you know, getting on other medications. But I'm also like, I believe in like holistic treatment. So like me, like I wanted to look into other options first. And like for me, as far as my symptoms go with PCOS, like I have a regular period. So sometimes my periods won't come for like, the longest has been like 3 months. And so it was a thing where I was like, okay, so my body's not releasing eggs. So like, girl, you may not be able to have kids for real. Because if your eggs aren't being released how they should, then like it'll be harder. Right. So I think for me, it was just like, okay, like acceptance is, you know, whatever it is, you know, and I'm a believer. So I'm like, whatever it is, like you'll be okay. And you're young, like, you know, you'll be fine. Like, and, you know, going to the doctor regularly, just my, you know, regular like general doctor, making sure everything else is in good health. Like I'm not diabetic, like I'm healthy, but it's like, this is something now that
you just have to take into consideration.
And it's like, there's so many other women. That's why I'm like, there's probably so many other women that probably don't know. Like they probably have the same symptoms, moodiness, irregular periods. I've had conversations with my cousins and they'd be like, yeah, my period be coming whenever. It's like, no, your period's supposed to come once a month.
That's scary.
It's supposed to come once a month. You know,
so it's close friends is like that too.
And so like now I have like the app tracker. So now I keep track to just see like, okay, how long it's been? Okay, it's been 2 months. All right. It'll come when it's gonna come, you know, like, but now just knowing, just having the knowledge of it makes me feel more secure. Like, okay, like you're good. Like, you know why this is happening. Nothing's getting any worse. And it's like, I don't necessarily feel like with endometriosis, I don't necessarily, feel pain per se, but it's just like, okay, like when I do have my menstruals, they're pretty like regular, but it's just knowing that my period's going to come whenever it wants. And, you know, like whatever happens. And then now too, being that I know that like it's hormonal things that's going on, I am more conscious of like, if I am in a mood or if I do feel myself like going off too quickly, I take a step back, or I like, because I feel like sometimes people don't even know like what's going on with you. And it's like, but it's also not fair to allow what you're dealing with to take over. So yeah.
And that's where that awareness comes in. That's the importance of the awareness. Like,
yes. Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've learned so much about PCOS just from like one of my best friends. She also has it. And it just makes me like, you know, just makes me want to be more vigilant about like my own healthcare. And what I need to do to make sure that I'm good. Like I just was thinking while you were talking, like, wow, I don't think I've been to a general practitioner. Like I've gotten like my regular checkup
Yeah.
in years.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, let me go schedule that. Like they're
Yeah.
like, it's just, this is inspiring me to take care of myself. In terms of like reproductiveness, so like at my most recent gyno appointment, I had talked to my doctor and I had told her like, I'm 28 and like, eventually I want to settle down and have kids. Like I want lots of them.
Yeah.
But I was like, to be transparent, I'm like, not dating anyone. Like I want to start a family, but I don't know what's in the cards. Like, can we talk a little bit about egg freezing?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my gosh, yes. And she was like, you were at the perfect age for that.
Yes.
And she was like, this is actually perfect because health insurance companies are now starting to cover it more. Because I think before it might have been anywhere between $10,000 to $50,000 out of pocket to freeze your eggs. And so the fact that like even healthcare is changing so that way they can support women in that sense
yes,
is incredible.
Yeah.
So I told myself, I was like, okay, so for 29, like when you have your next appointment, talk to her like seriously about those options and see what that system looks like. So that way I can enjoy my life and feel like, okay, well, I've got that taken care of. So like, I don't have to feel like I'm rushing against like a biological clock.
Right.
Because I feel like that's what ends up happening with so many women is like, yeah, of course we want to like find love and be happy. But it's also like, if you want kids, like, and you don't want it to be a geriatric pregnancy, like you want to make sure that like you are, looking out for it and taking care of it in advance. So so that's where I'm at, like health wise, just thinking like, okay, egg freezing, family planning, because baby's gonna happen with or without me.
Okay. That's right.
I still say, I always say men are a plus up. Yes, I would love the father of my child to be in their life. Of course, I'm not saying I don't want that.
Right.
But if it came to a point where it's like IVF and sperm bank,
hello,
listen. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I just want to make sure that like I still get to have those simple life joys of bringing in a baby into this world, and like I want to create legacy. So
yeah,
and one thing too, like I mean, even from when I was like 21, because of the painful periods, I used to say to my doctors all the time, like, I'm just so scared. Like, I have painful periods. I'm so scared I'm not going to be able to have kids. And I said that recently to my gyno now. And she was like, girl, it's 2020. We're going to get you a baby. Like, don't worry about it.
Okay. That's right.
Yeah. So no, it's also very important too to have doctors, I think, that look like you. Like my doctor is a woman of color. She's a young Indian woman, but like she is like so down to earth, so real. Like I've had that experience before of like having doctors who are just like super like, in a rush, 1 foot out the door. It just doesn't like terrible bedside manner. Like bedside manner to me is so important. Like even if they're especially with this,
especially
like at least pretend. Like I understand that there might be a fire out there, but me and you are in this room
exactly
for at least 12 minutes. Please give me your undivided attention so I don't feel like you're just pushing me off to the wayside.
Exactly.
So
that is huge. Egg freezing is definitely something I'm considering, strongly considering. And I mentioned to my doctor. So like immediately. So like after the surgery, I even asked her, I was like, how soon after the surgery can I freeze my eggs? And she was like, 4 weeks. I said,
great.
Okay, we're doing that.
Listen.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You have to keep me up to date with your process.
Yeah,
please.
I definitely will. I definitely will. And I'm just like speaking to a lot of I won't say older Black women, don't want to offend. Black women in their late 30s. Who wish they knew that freezing eggs was actually something that they could that they could do. And now they're having like a difficult time, and not for nothing, like with the way that the world is like moving, and the way that our generation, I feel like we're working so much and the cost of living is so high that people are having children later anyway. Like it's starting.
We literally can't afford them at this age right now.
Like literally. That age bracket is starting to move up, like from the early 20s to early 30s to mid 30s to like 38,
right?
And that's huge because that's around the age where the eggs do start to decrease. So like us having that awareness, even bringing it up in discussion like right now, is just so huge.
Right.
Because it's proactive.
Right.
And
Right.
that's the best part.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that's why like our generation, I feel like, is kind of like blessed. Like we kind of have like, because we have every like technology, the internet, we have a lot of
We have
different things.
access to so much information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And as you were talking about like the older folks, and that's kind of why I brought my mom up. She's young. I feel like 40s and 30s and 21.
Yes, your mom's
You know,
young.
like yes. And so but she, when with her situation with her fibroid situation, which was that was a little tricky. I mean, she still has fibroids, but she's able to like live with them and still go about day to day, but sometimes she does have bad cramps, even at, you know, at her age, which of course, if you're having periods, then you will still have cramps. If it doesn't have to be bad cramps, but you know, she goes through basically similar things that younger people go through regarding cramps, like what you mentioned, Ari, having bad cramps and stuff. And like with her situation, it was interesting because like she never knew that her mom, my grandma, had fibroids. Like my grandma's from Jamaica, so like in like Jamaica, West Indies, when my grandma was going through a fibroid situation, like my grandma would I think she had like prolonged bleeding for like a long, because that's what my mom's fibroid situation is like prolonged bleeding. Like she'll bleed for maybe like 2 weeks, like the longest. And then it's like you're losing blood. So then my mom's whole situation was kind of a crazy one. She was losing blood for a long period of time and had to get a blood transfusion.
Yeah, because you start to feel weak.
Yes. Yeah. And so that was probably the most scariest time, because like we didn't really have any like knowledge of like, okay, like what's really going on. So like I was there with her in the hospital. She got the transfusion, and you know, now she has way more information. She's done her research and everything. But had she known my grandma had it when my grandma was in Jamaica, then maybe she could have been more proactive. So, you know, like generational, if we're looking at generationally, like we have so much more information, and there's more like back then in Jamaica, it's like, okay, you bleeding, go out there, go get some bushes, eat that joint, make it in a smoothie, and take it every day.
Oh, really?
And you'll be,
that's a holistic.
like the whole, at least in I know in the island.
I'm not Caribbean, so I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah. In the islands, like, it's kind of like, yeah, like that's, go to the hospital or like medicate yourself with bush and tea and stuff like that. I believe that's how my grandma managed it. I think so. And then eventually, like, her bleeding stopped. And now she's here, you know, like, and she had kids. And that's the other thing too. Nothing is absolute. So I think like with these things too, and that's what I had to learn for myself and like talk to myself, you know, kind of like mother myself. Like, there's people who have PCOS and they have children, you know, so it's not a thing, or endometriosis or whatever it is, fibroids, they're still able to. So nothing is absolute. So I think like the minute that like, because doctors may say it, like there, you know, there's a possibility you can, or are you planning on having kids anytime soon? Even though those are real things to consider, like nothing is absolute. So I think like, even just looking from my grandma's situation and my mom's, it helped me to see like, wow, like, that's crazy. Like these things have been here, you know, but like I'm just now finding out about this, which is kind of like crazy, you know? So, yeah.
I love that you're opening this discussion. Like, just thinking about how many people are going to actually hear this, you know, like how many people this is going to reach. This is huge.
Right.
Yeah, guys. And thank you guys for being here with me to have the discussion. Because at first I was like, I can't talk about this. This is weird. Like, I mean, this probably, it coming out will be like the first time, like some of my, you know, my closest people's, like my cousins and stuff I'm sure they'll watch and be like, why you didn't tell me? And it's like, because I ain't know how, like, I'm just now getting to a place where I'm like, it is what it is, you know, like the place of acceptance. Cause at first I was like, no, they're lying. I don't believe them. You know, like I just in this place of like denial. This can't be. What do you mean? Not me. I'm telling you, denial for real. Because I'm like, well, what if it's something else? You know, and but I think getting the second opinion is important, because I think I was like thinking to myself, I should go get the second opinion. Because
second, third, fourth.
Yes. Because the GYN that I went to, I went there a few times because they were okay. But like, I didn't feel like, okay, this is my doctor. You know, it was just like, okay, I come here because it's convenient. They have parking and like, you know, I find out my information, like, you know, in a good time frame. Like, I never feel like I'm like, okay, like I was able to easily communicate with them. But as far as like my doctor, like feeling like, okay, this is the person I can talk to about everything, will consistently be, if I have any, I don't think I've ever really found that yet. And so like, I was like, maybe I should get a second opinion and find a way better doctor. But I think once I started doing my own research and like kind of looking up the symptoms, I was like, oh yeah, I have like I have those symptoms. It probably is what it is. But yeah, it's always okay, I feel like, to get second, third, fourth opinions just for your own peace of mind and to make sure you feel comfortable with everything. So yeah. Okay, guys. Well, let's move on to the next portion, which is just overall, like, okay, just overall for us, whoever wants to start sharing, is just like, how do you feel like, well, just for you, Ari, I guess we could start with you. Like, have you felt like this has affected your mental health? You finding out about the endometriosis, or just even before finding out?
Girl.
Yeah, how has it affected your mental health?
So just turning 30 last year alone had an effect on my mental health, where I had the whole, I don't even know, I had a breakdown.
Yeah.
And I was just like, my whole life was flashing before my eyes, all my dreams, my goals. I'm not married. I don't have kids yet. And I don't even want kids yet, but just like thinking all these things because I'm 30.
Yeah.
And then the whole thought process of, when my mom was 30, she was married with my brother and me and had an apartment and a job. And knowing that it's a totally different time.
Yeah.
But those thoughts still like go flashing through your mind. So it definitely took a toll on my mental health. I honestly, I have a therapist, a Black woman. I love her. Her name is Miss Williams, Cleopatra Williams.
Hey.
Shout out to you. But I actually put her on hold to start my acupuncture therapy to help me because financially I just couldn't do them both.
Yes, yeah.
But I'm feeling like I need to swap back. So I'm ready to start therapy sessions again with her because I think like this is a lot that I'm taking in. Yeah. And then I'm the type to keep moving. I don't give myself time to sit and like feel. Yeah. I can't. I got to keep moving. I got to keep going. I got to do this. I got to finish my work. And at that time I was in school and I finished grad school. So now I have time. Yeah. And I'm like, I got to do something else. Like, no, I need to slow down and stop. Yeah. You need to rest. Yes, I need to intentionally rest. Yeah. And, so yeah, it has been definitely taking a toll on my mental health. I think I've been trying to remedy it through my creative process. Yeah. But I definitely want to go back into therapy for sure.
Love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, for me, so I'll be 29 at the end of the month, at the end of February. And much like what you were saying, just kind of like creating my own spiral of like, I'm supposed to be here at this age and have this and like, and it's just a different time. Like one thing I've talked to my friends about and my therapist about before is feeling like I have everything else in life. I have the job, I have the apartment, I have the friends, I have the loving family, I have the access, the clothes, everything that I could ever want. Except for a relationship, like a loving relationship. And it's really messed with my mental because it's made me feel, I'm just being completely honest here. It's made me feel like I am unworthy or undeserving. And there's this video that's going viral right now. It's this girl on TikTok. I think her name's Camille. And she was just basically, her caption is like dating in LA at 30 plus. And she starts to get emotional. She starts crying about the fact that like, she's watching all of her friends like get married and have kids and, make all these life milestones. And she just feels like, when is it going to be my turn? And that's how I've felt for a while. It's like, when, like, Jesus, like at this point, just tell me when. Right. So I can just be like, oh, thank God. Like, oh, he's at 32. Okay. So at least I got 3 years to, like, I just like, I wish it was like, obviously life's not like that. But I think that just would like calm like my anxiety. Yeah. But what I've been like what's been helping me like kind of just really recenter myself is just having an understanding that like, one, someone's treatment toward me has everything to do with them and not me.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to disassociate any kind of like thoughts that I have around like, oh, this person isn't showing up for me in the way that I want them to, or
Right.
oh wow, another failed talking phase. Like, like I don't, instead of like being like, oh, what's wrong with me? Really just trying to change my perspective around like, okay, Simone, well, this just means that you have more time to focus on things that you want to. Like there's more things I could be doing with my creative work.
Yeah.
This allows for me to have way more time spending time with like friends and traveling and not having to like answer to anyone. I'm trying to change my perspective. Right. Cause like when you're in a relationship, let's be honest, like not that it's like I'm asking for permission kind of thing, but it's like the constant check-in. Like you can just live your life and not have to worry about like respectfully having someone else's feelings in consideration.
Right.
So I'm working through it in real time. There are weeks where I'm spiraling and I feel like I've accomplished nothing. And there are weeks where I'm like, Simone, like you are on the right path. You are doing everything in your power to align with what's right for you.
Yeah.
And also things will fall for you when they're supposed to.
Absolutely.
Like to not force it. Cause it's also be real too. Like I'm sure there are a lot of people who are on social media just showing their highlights or or faking the funk, you know?
Sure.
And like, I try to be mindful of that too and operate on those platforms with tunnel vision. So I don't live in this life of comparison and thinking like, well, when is it going to happen for me? Where's this? Where's that? I want the house. I want the kids. Like, I want the ring, like all that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I appreciate you for sharing that for sure. And those are all real valid. I feel like at some point I've definitely felt, if not all, some of the things that you mentioned. I think like, it's funny though, because I was like, you know what? I feel like when you have it all together, because I feel like any one of us, any three of us here, like have your stuff together, you're hardworking, independent.
Yeah.
I'd be like, maybe it's intimidation. I don't know. Listen.
I'm like, because I know I'm a kid.
Yes. Right. That's the part. I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And so I feel like,
it's intimidation.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
Just to your point, like, or just to, affirm you, girl, you're popping, you're beautiful.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yes. And
So are y'all.
Thank you. And I feel like, I guess it's like divine timing. I'll be having to tell myself that too, because I feel like, maybe. Okay. Because I feel like I'm in a place now where I feel like I do want a partner. But I'm just like, I'm also not willing to like settle. So I think
like you want the right person.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Because my other thing too is, and I say this all the time to my friends, I'm not trying to be nobody's baby mama.
Right. Okay.
I don't want to be a baby mama.
Okay.
And I don't want to have, if I have to co-parent, I want it to be a healthy co-parenting situation.
Yes.
I don't want drama.
Right.
I don't want to create that kind of trauma for my children. You know?
We've come this far.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just because I'm like, I'm not just going to like, just get pregnant just because I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to be 30. You know, like I want more Black women to move with intention. And I think that we do a really good job with it. But I just think that like, we just have to make sure that we're following through in every aspect of our life. So
it's huge.
Yes, absolutely. And did you have anything to add, Ari?
Just thinking about like that significant other he may not even be in this city.
Right.
He may not
be in this city. Because I'm like, my husband's not in New York. Right. So
he may not be in New York. Everybody's getting hype about ASAP, but he might not be from New York.
He might not.
Or he might be from New York, but he might not be in New York.
Right.
Yes.
He might be in Austin or something.
Yes.
Okay. So we're not gonna limit ourselves.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Another thing I told myself too is I'm pretty sure we all have a type here. I also have recognized that
I do.
I
do.
But the thing is, it's funny because it's like we have a type, but it's like, how has our type been working out for us? And I have also stepped into this phase of my dating life where it's like, okay, Simone, if the person doesn't come in the package that you originally thought, like, let that be okay.
Yeah.
Because I think we get so caught up on like, oh, he not this, he don't have that,
Yeah.
And like, obviously, like, take that like with a grain of salt. Like, you want to still be attracted and, affirmed by the person that you're looking to pursue or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just don't want us to get caught up on this idea of like, they have to be this perfect image of what you're what I like to call template is.
Yes.
And just because I think that like that's another reason why we end up robbing ourselves of joy. And I have this conversation with my best friend all the time about like, and this might be a problematic statement, but I'm gonna say it.
Do it, girl. Do it. We here.
It feels like Black women are the only people who are committed to Black love. Like I don't think that Black men are as committed to that.
Wow.
Like I feel like we continue to hold out because we're like, but we want the Black family and the Black legacy and the Black babies, and I want that deep.
Yeah.
But I feel like we rob ourselves of the experience of like experiencing other people, and maybe not even other ethnicities, but like people who just look different from the template of like tall, dark, and handsome.
Yes.
And like I haven't said that to my guy friends, but now that I'm thinking about it, I absolutely am going to ask them because it just feels like they get to go with the flow of like who they're drawn to and who they're attracted to.
Yeah.
And nobody questions like their decisions. But as soon as we step outside, oh, she turned against us. See, like it's just unfortunate. I just don't want any Black person, male, female, non-binary, to like rob themselves of experiencing like true love and joy just because they're trying to commit to something.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's really, really good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Something to think about.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, I still want a Black man, but
girl, same here.
Yeah, same.
I'm still holding the torch up. But, I mean, that's the thing. I feel like I always say like if somebody of another race, ethnic group was to come along and sweep me off my feet, I'm not gonna but it is like sometimes I find myself having that wrestle or internal battle like I should be able to find this should be out here for me if I desire it, but it's the ratio men to women out here is kind of
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Men have their pick of the litter.
They do.
And plus, especially now that like we use digital platforms, like they have so much access to like different types of women, different looking women.
Yeah.
And I also think that's why too, like I was alluding to this in my my Bonnets and T-Rags like Instagram page caption today. Like many people in like big cities aren't here because they're looking for commitment. Like they're here to hustle, they're here to create, they're here to network, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that if they stumble across love and they're ready and willing to commit to that, they will. Right? But most of the men that I meet here, they're not trying to settle down.
Yeah, it's not their priority.
No. And like I'm gonna be honest, and sorry, preach back there, but like I feel like men who are in their 30s like end up just kind of being like, oh, okay, well now, like I feel like I guess I should, like. And granted, Preach, I don't know your situation, but I'm just saying, like, as a male in the room, like,
shout out to Preach.
Yeah, shout out to Preach. Thank you, you are engineering hard back there. Thank you. It kind of makes me feel like men don't want to settle down until they realize, like, oh, okay, well, like, what else is out there,
Right.
Like, so it's just frustrating because it just makes me feel like men in large cities, excuse me, aren't willing to commit. And that's bi-coastal. Yeah. I hear those stories from my friends in LA. I hear those stories from my friends in Texas. I hear it in Atlanta, like here, like, it's just, it's across the board. So,
yeah.
I think my focus has been also on myself, kind of wanting to focus on my own shadow work with the same expectations that I have for the person.
Go ahead, shadow work.
That I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And that priority is mental health. Seeing Black men go to therapy is
music to my
everything.
Yes. Top notch.
Like do the work, baby. Please.
Yes. Do the work while I'm doing my work.
Right.
Do your work.
Right.
So that's huge.
Absolutely.
As you said that, something came to mind and it just literally it left. As soon as you said, I was like, I thought of something and
it'll pop back.
If it comes back, yes. If it comes back. And yeah, this is, I guess, a little segue. Yeah, just in regards to, okay, so something I had watched, Simone, your, it was like, I would say a panel or like interview with the girls from Black Girl Pod. And you guys talked. Yes. And I loved it so much. Like the conversation was amazing. And I feel like that inspired me to kind of just, in this moment, do something a little similar, but not completely, but just for us to be able to kind of like reflect and affirm ourselves, of course. Or for even if it's not affirm ourselves, but really just like, I guess, talk about how we see ourselves, whether it be physically, internally, like who we are as women. And yeah, I know it's kind of like, you know, on the spot, but yeah, like how do you ladies see yourself?
Yeah. Well, one, I love that you said that you are focusing on shadow work, because I absolutely am too. I think it's really important to dig that up, and like just literally sitting in the mirror and examining who you are.
Yes.
Like, and like getting so deep with it where it's like you feel like you're looking into your soul.
Yes.
Like that has been like me practicing, like trying to like love myself louder. When it comes to like physical looks, I will say like the hairstyle I have now, I'm like, ooh, this is my look. This is
I love it.
Thank you.
Looks good.
The bundles, I'm like, I'm full
Yes.
bundle mommy.
Yes.
3 bundles, please. Thank you. And I just started like working out again. Just because like I started to realize like, okay, in my 20s, I feel like I haven't really like enjoyed my body. I've spent a lot of time hiding behind like clothes, or like being uncomfortable with like what I'm wearing and being out and then looking at everyone who's like slim or like small waist, big butt, all that, you know? So like, I just was like, okay, I'm going to take some time to start going to the gym, start investing in my physical health so I can at least enjoy the last year of my 20s looking like the bad bitch I've always dreamed of.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Period.
And unfortunately, I had to stop seeing my therapist too, for in exchange for my physical health. But I was like, okay, well, at least let me kickstart this journey.
Yeah.
And then once I get to a place where I'm like comfortable, then I can try to go back to therapy, because affording all of it at the same time is just too much. But I'm starting to love the woman that I look in the mirror, that I see in the mirror. It hasn't been like that for a long time. And I think even in the middle of last year, I realized that like I didn't love myself fully. That I just, you know, I loved the idea of who I was, but you know, I couldn't accept compliments. People are telling me, "Oh, you're great. You look like this." I'm like, "Okay, thank you," but I don't believe it.
Yeah.
And it's like really time. It was long overdue for me to start stepping into that and honoring that and believing it. So I'm a work of art in progress.
Love that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is so relatable. So relatable. I feel like the time frame for me, my timeline was a little swapped. So like in my 20s, I felt like I was in love with myself physically, but I wasn't in love with myself mentally and emotionally. And now that's swapped. I'm in love with myself mentally and emotionally, and I'm not in love with myself physically. So I'm trying to kind of find that balance.
Yeah.
Like I keep telling myself, as far as my physical fitness, I want to fall in love with myself when I see myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
I want to love the way I look naked.
Yeah.
I want to like all for me.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
me.
It's literally for us.
Right?
It's, not
It's just for
anyone else
us.
but
Yes.
us. Yeah.
We want to walk past the mirror and be like,
Like,
hey,
oh, girl.
hey, baddie.
Uh-huh.
I want that. And I also think about like my future. I want to be able to start this now. I see these Angela Bassett's. These women who make their age look like it's fake. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Angela Bassett, Tracee Ellis Ross. I want to look as good as Tracee Ellis Ross when I am 50. Like, my goodness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
but it all starts now.
That's it. I really want to start that now. But my discipline is horrible. It's trash. So
Yeah. Same.
I really need to do that for me. You know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you, ladies, for sharing.
Of course.
I'm over here trying to think like, yeah, I feel like, I don't know. It's weird because I feel like I see myself, like I've done a lot of like work to like just build up my confidence as far as being able to say like, no, like you're that girl, you know, like just to be able to like, but when I say it, like believe it. Because, because other people, like you were saying, I think other people can easily be like, Monique, you're this, you're that. And I'll be like,
really?
at least previously, I would be like, not being able to accept it and being like, girl, or put it on somebody else. Like, no, but you're this, you know?
I'm trying to get like you.
Yes. But now, like, I feel like I've definitely seen my growth as far as just being able to believe like you are that girl. Like even if nobody tells you that, like you're that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I do believe that. So I think like I'm grateful for that like development. And I think that's come from like I've prayed about that. Like that's something that I've prayed about. Like God, like I want to be confident.
Yeah,
like for
me
real
too.
though. Like really like
Every day in my prayers, I say, God, please give me discernment, confidence, and discipline.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Those are the 3 things that I need to transform my life.
Yes. Because there are people who like, and the thing is there's some people who probably like we can look at and be like, oh my gosh, they're so confident, but really they're not, you know, but they just are able to like put on a good face. Yeah. But it's like, I wanted to genuinely be like believe it. Like, when I do step into a room, like I don't feel.
Yeah, you command attention naturally.
Right.
And people pick up on that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that natural confidence.
Mhm.
You're a magnet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a really good friend who literally anytime she steps in a room, she commands the room, and like she's fun, she's flirty, like, but like men and women are just like flocking to her. They want to talk to her. She just has like such great energy.
Yeah.
And like literally could command anything out of anyone. And I'm like, girl, I look up to you. Like I want to be as confident as you are when I grow up. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
It is. Like literally, I'm not gonna say I'm all the way there, but I feel like just from where I was, like just internally, like just like I feel like I'm shy I can be really shy at times, but I think aside from the shyness, just like, just being secure in who I am and like being able to like, just be, this is me in all of my glory and all of my flaws and all of my, just be able to be like, yeah, this is me. Like you either gonna take it or leave it. And like, now I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with who I am, and it's a good feel. Like, I feel like it's a great feeling. Like it's refreshing. Like before, I feel like it would be a struggle to be like, even just not be around people, but to be able to be around people and feel like I can, just genuinely express my thoughts and feel like, all right, whether they like accept it or not, like I still feel that way,
Right.
So, but I would feel like, oh, maybe I should pull back a little bit, not, but now I'll be like, I said what I said. You heard me?
Right.
You heard what I said.
Right.
But, and, not have to be mean about it or, but just be confident,
just direct. Yeah.
like entirely confident. So yeah, I think it's, there's so much work, more growing to do. But I think, just in the physical sense, of course, I think like that's where, of course, more work needs to be done, internal work as well. But like me wanting to also like go to the gym more, that's been something that I've started like the end of 2021. So that coming into the new year, I already had a rhythm. But I think just with also like doing more research on like PCOS and stuff, it can affect like being able to lose weight can be harder because of like, there's some connection to PCOS and like insulin, which can, like, if there's something with your insulin, it can make weight loss like something with weight loss. So I feel like I've gained a lot of weight, in my opinion. I've gained a lot of weight, and like I've like tried different diets. I've tried to like, and it's just been difficult. And so for me, like that, I feel like has played on just like, maybe my self-esteem a little bit, or just like feeling like, I'm going to accomplish my weight loss goal or how I want to look. Am I going to be able to get there because of this new thing now that I have to deal with?
Right.
But, so I think for me, like just the physical aspect, like, of course, like I was an athlete when I was in high school, and like, I felt like that was my perfect, size and weight. And now I'm like, that would be my goal, to be able to get back there. But now I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get back there. And if I don't, am I going to be okay? So that's where I have to like, talk to myself and kind of reflect in that regard. But yeah, because I think that, it's sometimes frustrating, because I'm like, before I used to be able to like work out like it's nothing. And it's like also getting older too. Girl. That plays a part.
My metabolism's slow. My knees are bad. I'm tired all the time.
Yes. And then if your hormones are fluctuating too, you may eat more. I'm trying to stop eating, but for some reason I can't, so I think, there's a few different things that I feel like I'm trying to just work on, and just be okay with whatever it is. Just be okay with it. Just try to continue to work, to grow in all areas.
Right.
So
that's beautiful. I love that.
Yes. I love it for all of us.
For all of us, right?
I love it.
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah. And I guess we're getting down to the end now. But if we can if you guys have like an affirmation, a quote, or something that you guys, that encourages you, motivates you, that you can think of at this time. Yeah, if you guys can share it. Or something that you live by. Maybe a song, a lyric, whatever.
My affirmation, I don't think it would be your typical affirmation. It's no one knows what the hell they're doing. That's my affirmation.
I love that.
That's it.
It's a fact, and it keeps me grounded, and it helps me when I get insecure or feel like everyone else has it all together and I don't.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what the hell they're doing.
This is why I'm taking it. I
Yes.
love that.
Yeah.
I think mine is, I am needed. I am someone's reason to keep going. And because of that, like I said at the top of the episode, it gives me the fuel I need to continue to pour into my work and be a resource for my community, for my friends, for my family. So
Yeah.
I am someone's reason to keep going.
Love that.
I love
Thank
that.
you.
Very
Yeah.
selfless.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I guess right now, this is kind of like not something that I would live by. I mean, that I always quote, but I feel like just right now, the affirmation is, I am whole. You are whole. Like you have everything that you need, right in front of you.
Yeah.
Like you don't need anything else
Yeah.
because you're it.
Yeah.
It's you. And that's something that somebody had said to me a while ago. And then it just kind of stayed with me. But there are times where, you know, if ever anyone feels like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know how I'm going to get this done, or I don't feel like I have all of what I need to accomplish whatever. It's like, oh, you do. You have everything right there. It's in you.
Right.
Literally. You can create whatever you want. You can, whatever your situation is, wherever you want to get to, you have all of the tools. So,
Amen.
yeah.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, and so thank you guys so much for joining. And yeah, before we officially wrap up, is there anything that you guys want to share? Anything that you guys have going on that you want to let people know? Where can they find you, follow you, your social medias? Yes, leave us with it.
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram via .Simone, Twitter via Simone _ and please be sure to listen to the Bonnets and Do-Rags A Pillow Talk podcast series. We are starting up season 5 this winter, so I'm really excited about sharing that. You can follow us on Instagram at Bonnets Do-Rags, no and, so it's BONNETS DURAGS. You can follow us on Instagram as well. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
This was incredible.
Yay.
Amazing. You can find me on Instagram, and you can follow my story. I will be keeping everyone updated on my endometriosis journey. My Instagram is Natural Joy, NATURALLJOI. No spaces. Natural Joy.
Yes. Okay, guys, your Mental Matters podcast. We are out.
Bye.
That
That was
Yay.
good. Yeah, right on time. 8:59.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Girls.
Y'all made it great. Thank
Thank
you.
you.